Hello, and welcome to Say Yes to Holiness podcast. I'm Christina Semmens, your host, and today I get to do one of my favorite things, which is to have conversations with those who are working in the vineyard, and their particular apostle is to be able to continue to spread the kingdom. And today with me is Brooke Joiner. She is a co-founder and CEO of a very interesting and novel idea. It's called Catholic Owned, and I'm going to let you talk about it, Brooke. But thank you so much for coming on the show and for being here.
Thank you for having me, Christina. I really appreciate it.
Oh, not at all. I was reading a little bit about your own background, and there's a few kind of correlations and connections. You're originally from Colorado. My husband's family was out in Colorado Springs for many years, and we lived out there for 6 years. But you're now in South Florida, which is where I was for 9 years until I graduated high school. Went to South Plantation High School, and so a lot of kind of locations that are similar, but without kind of going into any of that really, would you share with our listeners a little bit about your own journey and how you came to be doing what you're doing today? Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a convert to the Catholic faith.
Mhm.
I converted in on April 8th of 2012.
Mhm.
So I just completed 13 years of being Catholic, and this will be my 14th Easter. Which is just so beautiful. Um, and I'm married, we have 4 children, and we really, we had been, kind of working in a secular industry. Ultimately, our faith and our devotion to our Blessed Mother really was growing, and that kind of convicted us that we need to do something different. We need to do something better, that we can feel we're at least serving our fellow Catholics and making a positive difference, and that we can feel good,
Mhm.
when we, God willing, retire.
Mhm.
What did you do with your 40 years of work?
Mhm.
It wasn't where we were that we
Mhm.
wanted to sort of stand on.
Mhm.
Um, and so just developing, that devotion to our Blessed Mother really has been foundational to us. And
Mhm.
to this day continues to really guide us and help us with what we're doing.
Mhm.
Um, but really the faith is the most important thing that we have. And everything we do is kind of with that in mind, and whether that be with our family,
Mhm.
my husband homeschools our children. We're very serious about that, with the practicing of our faith, and then also in the business. We really live and breathe it. And for me, that's amazing. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think what you're describing is what a lot of people would love to be able to say, about their own lives. And I think sometimes what happens is that people will be like, "Oh, but how do I do that?" And I think the initiative that that you guys have done, this business, Catholic owned, really gives people a beautiful way to be able to do that in an intentional way. But so I'm probably going to get the answer to this question, but what actually inspired you to launch Catholic Owned? You kind of shared a little bit about that in your own journey, but what was it that really you're like, oh, we need to do this?
So we had, my husband and I, the job we had before
Mhm.
was, like I said, secular. And we have been feeling called, like we need to do something different. And so actually we started as not Catholic specific. A little step back was that it was a more general values based idea, that whatever your values are, you should be able to find businesses that align with them.
Mhm.
And so we quit our jobs based on that idea. So we had started it on the side. We thought, oh, let's try this. And we weren't seeing the growth that we wanted. And so we said, okay, like let's leave the jobs and let's do this for real. Um, and about 3 weeks after we left the job, we had a friend come to us who knew we were doing like a values-based directory.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I need to talk to Catholic owned, or excuse me, Catholic business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked in our little list, which we had like 150 something. It was not a lot. And we realized we had maybe like 5 or 4 Catholic businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had that was kind of the conviction moment of
Mm-hmm.
if we can't even help our own people, what are we doing? Like we just gave up all of the material security that we have worked quite hard to get. And we can't even serve our own people. So there was like a misalignment there.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the next week, basically, we did like use potential user interviews. So we interviewed like a bunch of fellow Catholics, like, hey, would this be something you would be interested in doing, and that was in August of 2023. I mean, yeah, it was it was crazy. And then we went on a pilgrimage actually. So we were in Italy then for a few weeks. That was already planned. This is like, I mean, God knew, but we didn't. But because my brother-in-law got married. So anyway, so we're going for the wedding. And we said, look, like we want to do a pilgrimage while we're there.
Right.
Um, and so we had the pilgrimage planned. So we literally we quit the job. So we left behind everything. Then we realized we actually have to pivot and niche down our entire business to a substantially smaller subset of the
Mm-hmm.
population. And we have to leave for Italy in a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. And so we did, I think I don't remember the number of interviews I did before we left. Um, but past a certain point, you kind of get the same answers. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, this is probably what we need to do. But I said, I just think we'll know what to do when we get back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very strong sense of that, which I've never felt that way before. I'm more of a planner, you
Uh-huh.
know. So for me to say, yeah, like let's take this trip and like we'll know what to do. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a crazy thing that I would never have said before. But I mean, that was the true sense that I had. So we went, we had the wedding, which was beautiful, and then we did um Assisi. So we saw Saint Francis of Saint Clair, and
Mm-hmm.
also Blessed Carlo
Blessed
Cuti was there.
Carlos.
Cuti's was
Yep.
there. So
When did
um
you go in 23? Not to interrupt you, but when in 23 was this?
it was August 17th or 18th,
You
and
were
we were there
there
for
the
like three
you
and a
were
half
there
weeks.
the week before we were.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. So yeah, we my husband we went back and but yeah, you were there the week before we were. So yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
it is
Yeah.
going to yeah, so you
Wow.
went so you spent time in Assisi. I know exactly what it was that you're experiencing because it's just
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we went there and then we went to Rome
Mm-hmm.
and we did the 7 churches pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
We did the old route
Ah.
and we were like a huge group. It was like me, my husband, I, the 4 children, and then also my in-laws and my sister-in-law. So
Mm-hmm.
we had one more adult than kid. So it was like, okay, like maybe we can make this work. So yeah, and so we did that. We did do some metro and some Ubers going from place to place on that pilgrimage. Usually you're supposed to walk, but it
Mm-hmm.
was a little much with the kids. So we sort of
Yep.
had to use the modern way, but we did that. And then we went and saw Padre Pio.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that is a really, I mean, it's a long journey for sure. Um, but very striking. I had never seen an incorruptible before.
Mm. Well, Blessed Carlos, constitutes that as well. So you got two for one.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And I guess so yeah, so for sure. But I guess does Blessed Carlos, he has like a base, like some type of covering. Is there some type of covering on his face? I thought it was like a very thin covering of some kind. I don't know
When we were
exactly.
there, it didn't seem like he had anything that was on him, um,
Okay.
but yeah,
Well, maybe
but
I
to see an incorruptible, to see someone they're obviously dead, but they look like just like they're sleeping is just amazing. Um,
it is.
yeah.
It really is. And I think one other thing that made it so striking for me, because Blessed Carlos, he looks good all around. You know,
Hmm.
Padre Pio, his hands have decomposed
Mm.
and you
Hmm.
can see them.
Hmm.
And so it's sort of this juxtaposition
Hmm.
between like what, like by natural law, what should have happened
Hmm.
versus like perfect condition down to every eyelash.
Right.
I mean, striking. It's so striking. So for me, that was like a very moving thing.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, really something.
Mm.
Really, really something. So yeah, so we saw Padre Pio. And then the last stop on the journey was going to Loreto,
Oh, wow.
which, you know,
Hmm.
my husband's family lives in Marque, so we had been to Loreto a lot of times. But it was a really special trip, you know, the last step on that journey.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that was the pilgrimage we went on, and then we came back, and then what we did, we started Catholic Owned as a digital magazine based in South Florida, and we launched that on September 28th. So just a few weeks after getting back.
St. Louis de Montfort, September
Is that
28th.
his feast day?
No, 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 no. Sorry. I totally got it. He's in April. Why did I get
Oh,
that confused? Sorry. Sorry
no
about that.
worries.
Mhm.
Well, it's also our wedding anniversary, so I
There
was
you
about to be
go.
really excited.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. I don't know why I was thinking that, but yeah, yeah. Anyway, continue. I'm interrupting. This is you're sharing your story. So you come back, launch it as a digital magazine in South Florida. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and so really we did that because it was sort of this the quickest way to test our riskiest assumption, which was will people come to us to find Catholic owned businesses?
Hmm.
Um and a digital magazine I mean it's a lot of work, but it's not a hard thing to do because of the technology we have available now.
Hmm.
Um and so that's how we were able to put it out. We had 5 businesses in the first issue. And so after that, it was a weekly magazine. And we also had like local events, like a classifieds kind of section.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny to think about looking back. But and we had mass times at local parishes and this event section. And then we also and like people would post jobs or different things. So it was like
Mhm.
a true sort of classifieds thing. Um, And then also like devotional articles. So we would
Mhm.
have like 4 or 5 each week that, were related to the feast days or um usually feast days or just generally devotional articles. So
Mhm.
that went on for a long time. And then yeah, then we had our first sort of like quote unquote national appearance that
Mhm.
that Advent because we did a Christmastide shopping guide, the first
Um,
ever. And so for that one, we had, our local business list, of course, but we had, the gift guide advertisers, so businesses that would ship gifts nationwide.
mhm.
Um, and that was like really cool. And then we did our Eastertide shopping guide the next spring. So that was last
Mhm.
year, our first ever. Um, And then, in the background, obviously the list was growing and we just knew like a magazine was not going to be enough. So
Mhm.
we went ahead and developed our app. And the app came out on April 25th of 2024.
Okay, now we're talking St. Louis to Montfort. And pretty
Yes,
close. Yeah.
right, right. So yeah, so the app launched and then we did continue to publish the magazine like monthly for a while. But once the app was live, the readership really declined. And so we said, okay, so now we only publish 2 gift guides each year,
Hmm.
which have, our gift guide advertisers for that holiday. And then they also have the liturgical living guide. So it's devotional articles related to the season.
Hmm.
Um, so that's, the gift guides are kind of, it's a useful tool, but it's also sort of our nod to
Hmm.
how we started, and
Right.
so it's just this beautiful thing that we do. So,
Oh, that's awesome. So, how do you all vet businesses that want to be included on this platform? And how might, a Catholic business owner, go about pursuing a listing on your platform?
yeah, really we have what we call our founding pillars,
Mm-hmm.
and they how we develop them is they go back to the heart of what does it mean to be Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know the church tells us that. So perfect. So, we develop these in obedience to the church and her shepherds. That's so important to us. And so here's what they are. So the first one is they are faithful to the magisterium and in full communion with Rome.
Mm-hmm.
The second is that they are a regularly practicing Catholic in good standing.
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that to mean they go to Mass 52 Sundays a year, holidays of obligation, and then we have in there regular confession. So,
Yeah.
of course, that's personal. We're not policing that. But, if someone says, yes, I get confession as part of my spiritual life, they're doing it, so it could be once a week, it could be once a month,
Mm-hmm.
but um third is they pray the rosary or practice other sincere daily devotions.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing something every day to grow in their faith.
Mm-hmm.
um and then the fourth, the first three really focus on the personal faith of the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And that is intentional because then the fourth pillar is they run their company according to the principles of the Catholic faith. And so if they check the boxes on the first three, there's a really good chance that they are making an honest effort at number four. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are the founding pillars that we've developed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in terms of a business getting added, we have actually a self-led onboarding process.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go to our website, which is catholicowned.com, and click apply to be featured. And you will be taken through the process. It's super smooth, super fast. And we ask them to put those founding pillars in writing to sign on that they agree to those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, so that's how people can get listed. We have a free basic listing that's available for people. We also have our featured membership, which has a ton of other awesome benefits. But either way, people are welcome to take advantage of that.
Mm. So that's awesome that especially Catholic-owned businesses are able to reach out to a population that very likely they might not ever have come into contact with because it costs so much, especially to be able to get, high listings on Google and, those different things. And I love, what you guys are doing. Why do you think it even matters where someone spends their money? Mhm.
Well, I think that, I mean, for me personally, my husband and I, and this is kind of our original inspiration, that, we recognize that our dollars have power. You know,
Mm,
Unfortunately, in the world, money has power. And so we could debate, like, should that be the case or not? That is the truth. And so where we spend our money has power. And
mhm,
so we said, gosh, sure would be great to to, first of all, to stop contributing to causes that are contrary to our Catholic faith, you know.
Hmm.
And that really shows up, after you order something from a website or a store, and then, like when Roe fell, these social media posts by these companies, saying, "Oh, we will pay for our employees to travel for,
Right.
their abortions." And it's like, you get such a feeling of betrayal,
Hmm.
because it's like, I supported your business, and yes, I needed to buy that thing, of course, so that's
Hmm.
important. But like, why are you doing that? Like, that's terrible, and so it's this many times of this sort of like betrayal feeling, and you just think, well, I want to stop
Hmm.
supporting that first,
Right.
And then the next question is, well, I still need to buy the items or the
Hmm.
services, so what am I going to do?
Right.
You know, and that's where, it can get really hairy because,
Yeah.
I mean, researching every company before you make a purchase. There are places you can check, right? You can check their shareholder disclosures, you can check their websites, you can check their social media, and you can look into the social media of the executives and things like that. Um, but I don't have time to do that for
Right.
everybody.
Hmm.
So, we can spin our wheels of like trying to figure out what to avoid,
Hmm.
or we can spin our wheels trying to figure out where to go instead, which is
Hmm.
kind of where we said, okay, but then we said, why don't we just make something that does all of that work for you?
Hmm.
So you can just stop here and then go to the easier solution. That at least, people are claiming they're Catholic, they put it in writing, they're making an effort. And of course, none of us are perfect, you
Right.
know, but at least, we can cut out a lot of that work, because that is what I think holds back a lot of people from making changes to, more ethical companies, is how do you find them?
Right.
Especially when in that moment when you need the thing,
Hmm.
when your house has leaking water, you're not going to look up the plumbers and their shareholders. You're just going to call the
Hmm.
first available. So,
Right.
getting at that moment of need, that convenience factor is important. And so that's what we try to provide.
And it's such a service. And I love how you describe it as, using the power of the money that's been entrusted to you. Our Lord has given us, particular, amounts of money. And so using it to not just not spend it and support those who aren't being faithful to building the kingdom as we know our Lord wants us to, but rather it saves you time just by using the app and finding those resources that you need, knowing that they have been vetted, knowing that you don't have to go and as you said, dive into the shareholder reports to determine whether or not they're advertising and supporting things that we know are against God's kingdom. So that in itself is wonderful, especially for all you busy moms who are out there. I'm telling you, download the app and take a look. And then there is something that I saw in the app. You can actually nominate businesses, that you know
Yes.
of in your area so that you can continue to increase the network. Tell me exactly how does that work or how someone might be able to help, increase the network. Mhm.
Absolutely. So you can, if you know of an individual business that you want to have in there, you can do the nominate feature.
Mhm.
Um, you can also upload your parish bulletin, the
Ah.
advertisers
Mhm.
page,
Mhm.
and that is super helpful because it tells us, hey, here's where we want people, right?
Mhm.
And then we're able to quickly vet them, confirm everything. It does take a little while. We can't do it instantaneous yet,
Right.
um, but we are working to pick up the speed, right, of which we add these businesses in.
Mhm.
Um, because we have so many referrals, we honestly are just trying to keep up with all the
Yeah.
referrals, which is great. But
Mhm.
yes, that's a great way to add your own business, nominate your friend's business or just a
Mhm.
business you love, and then add in your parish bulletin so we can add a
Mhm.
lot of businesses that way.
And I thought that was such a, definitely not necessarily unique as it was a just a brilliant way to be able to make it interactive of so I'm helping do my part too of kind of going, hey, talk to this person at this business, and so we're doing our part as well to build the kingdom. So I thought that was awesome. Go into a little bit more about the Eastertide shopping guide, because we're now into getting real close to Easter. And of course, Easter is 50 days, so we have a good month and a half. But what's the Eastertide shopping guide look like, and the liturgical living?
Yeah, I love to talk about the gift guides. I'm sure
Mhm.
you can tell. So the Eastertide shopping guide is really it's a curated collection of merchants that sell items that make great gifts. So these
Mm.
can be gifts for Easter, sacrament gifts, like we
Mhm.
know, like we got first communions, we got confirmations, there's a ton of weddings coming up. I mean, there's so many things. So they make great sacrament gifts. We got Mother's Day, Father's Day. And then we even have a travel advisor, so summer travel, right? So all of these things that these holidays, we have so much to celebrate. Gifts for all of those occasions are in this guide.
Mhm.
So, and we keep the ads together. That's something we are just fundamentally honest about. When
Mhm.
we give you content, it's content.
Mhm.
When we're giving you ads, you know you're looking at an ad. We're not sneaking it in. And that's something we're so we love to do. We love to be honest with people. But so we have our ads section where you shop, you click through and you shop directly with the merchant. They offer discounts and special deals and bonuses. You have a discount code right there in the ad, and you just click through, you shop, they get you taken care of. It's awesome. Um, then on the other side of the digital magazine, we have our liturgical living guide. And
Mhm.
this is a series of articles about all of the feast days that we are walking through, right? So we started with Passion Sunday, which we like to use the old and new calendars.
Mhm.
Um, and the beautiful thing about these times of year is they align almost perfectly. So
Mhm.
it's awesome. So Passion Sunday's on the old calendar, but we do include it, and it's beautiful. And then we go all the way through to Holy Trinity Sunday, which I think is June 16th this year.
Mhm.
So walking through, Holy Week, Easter, we go through Pentecost, the Ascension, and there's a few days in there as well, other days in there as well. Um, and the cool thing this year is we have the best art we've ever had. So
Mhm.
I our focus this year was like stop writing stuff, just give them good art. Like let the these 500-year-old paintings do the talking. Just get out of the way. Because the art is so beautiful and just encouraging that sort of meditation, right? And going deeper into the season. And then of course we have short excerpts and short articles there. But that's the Eastertide shopping guide. The really cool thing too is in addition to the digital flip book, we also have an in-app version of the Eastertide experience. So
Mm.
the in-app version is only the shopping side.
Right.
So you can kind of have more of the app shopping experience. Because people have different preferences.
Right.
They like to shop here, they like to shop there. So we give them both.
Mhm.
Um, and you can also access the flip book, the magazine inside the app in that
Mhm.
Eastertide section. So it's Eastertide everywhere, and you're sure to
Mhm.
be inspired and find some great gifts for loved ones.
Oh, well, I'm excited to be intentional, and I kind of took a not a solemn promise, but I reduced my online presence and content during Lent, and so looking forward to being able to dive in more deeply in the weeks ahead. What's next for you guys? You said that you're just struggling to kind of keep up with all the referrals, but is there any new kind of initiative or something that you feel Our Lady and the Holy Spirit are prompting you towards? Mhm.
Yeah. What we're really are focusing on is very quick growth because we are seeing that Catholics really care about this. They want their dollars to go to their fellow Catholics because they know those profits are used to those revenues are used to buy groceries for Catholic
Hmm.
families, to purchase homeschool materials, to tithe to their local parish, right? And they're creating jobs. Catholic-owned businesses are way more likely to hire fellow Catholics. So it's this really, for lack of a better term, it's this synergy that grows when we are not the secular use of the term synergy, but
Hmm.
truly this compounding effect of, you know, closing up the leaks in the Catholic economy, right? And just
Hmm.
keeping the money going around and around and around
Hmm.
amongst each other. People really care about that. And so we really feel a responsibility to scale the company as quickly as divinely possible because there are Catholics that want to be part of it, and we just need to get to them as
Hmm.
quickly as we can, serving our people well. And so we have some really exciting stuff coming out. We have our totally redesigned UX, which is launching, should definitely be out by the time this is out.
Hmm.
Um, and we have several other ways that people can get involved, be part of the growth that we're experiencing, whether it be coordinating with their parish. We have a parish affiliate program that essentially just pours as much money as possible into the parishes. So that people can get involved that way. So I just invite people to check out our website,
Hmm.
see what the latest opportunities are, because we want to reach every practicing Catholic in the United States as quickly as possible, to get this in their hands, get them shopping with these businesses that pour their heart and soul to what they do, and who provide excellent service and excellent products.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to do my part, that's for sure. And I know that there have been you made it seem like it was all just kind of, sunshine and roses, for your journey, along this way. But I know that there have probably been significant challenges and along the way. But what have you found to be the most challenging or rewarding on your journey, as you've established Catholic owned and have been growing it? Mhm.
I think um, probably the hardest thing is working for a long time without necessarily seeing
Mm.
the like right. So like if you sell a rosary,
Mhm.
then you make the rosary, you put it on the website or in the the shop, whatever, and then someone buys it and you send it out. And then
Mhm.
that transaction is done. And there's something like there's a closing of the loop there in
Mhm.
a certain sense. With something like this, there's no such thing.
Mhm.
It's a very long game. It's a very, we have to develop several communities. We have our app users, we have our business owners, we have our parish affiliates. We have so many groups and stakeholders that we have to be nourishing and pouring into. Um, and we can't see those benefits immediately.
Mhm.
So thankfully we receive a lot of signal graces, and like if it wasn't for those,
Mhm.
maybe it would be harder. But that's the hardest part, is not seeing the thing come to fruition in, the 20 months since we've been doing it.
Mhm.
But in the grand scheme, that's not that long. But
Right.
working without material and like immediate impact, that's the
Mhm.
hardest part for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely. So tied to that is, how has this work been helping you on your own journey to becoming a saint? Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully helping. Um, it's really, I do think that obviously, we do view this as like a mission we've been given. You know,
Mhm.
we so we are consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. All of the work, and we said this from the beginning, all of the work we do is in reparation to her Immaculate Heart for the many sins and blasphemies against her.
Yeah.
So knowing that, every call, every email, every post, every meeting, every single thing that we do, every late night, every all of those sacrifices are in that reparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a huge driver, right? Because it's like, I'm not doing this because it could be a successful business, which obviously I hope to provide for my family. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
four, so we would like more. We have to eat,
Right.
but that is not enough to, to push through the 18 and 20-hour days. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you can get income for your family a lot of ways that don't require that,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that purpose really helps um to really focus in, and it's like, okay, and then also, so we do it in reparation, and then we also have, like I said, this sort of duty that, God gave this to us, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't not do it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just accept that responsibility, and just do everything I can, At the same time, I also know that, I mean, he could have chosen someone better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I'm keenly aware of that
Mm-hmm.
every single day. Um, so I just try to see myself as he does,
Mm-hmm.
and give as much as I can, knowing that, like, he will, our Blessed Mother will perfect the sacrifice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that will be enough, because I don't have any more to give. So,
Mm-hmm.
just being willing to accept my own limitations. It's very humbling because I
Mm-hmm.
have to do a lot of things I've never done before.
Right.
But I just do the best that I can, and
Mm-hmm.
in that sort of spirit of sacrifice and reparation. And that's how we make it through.
So what's been that one idea or habit or practice that's been really significant for you? I mean, your mission and you know what you're about, but what's been the practical action that has really helped you be able to do that? Mhm.
Pray the rosary every day.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then the other thing is the first Saturdays and then the first Fridays.
Mm. So many
Continue.
people are not familiar. They might have heard of First Friday, First Saturday, but so many people are unfamiliar with those practices. Just real briefly, you want to just kind of run it out.
Yeah, yeah. So the five first Saturdays from
Hmm.
Our Lady of Fatima. She asked for this devotion. So it's a set of a few things that you do on the first Saturday of the month for 5 consecutive months. So
Hmm.
but you can just do them forever. That's the
Yeah.
real secret sauce. But
Yeah.
complete them in fives. So you go to Mass, receive
Hmm.
Holy Communion and Say of Grace before Mass, receive a good confession, pray 5 decades of the Rosary, and spend 15 minutes meditating on one mystery of the Rosary, and like keeping our Blessed Mother company in that.
Hmm.
So you do those, I guess that's 5 things.
Hmm.
And you can just do this, like most parishes have a Saturday afternoon confession and then a vigil mass.
Hmm.
So it can definitely be done with families. You bring the whole gang out, 3 or 3:30, whatever
Hmm.
it is. And the timing works out really well. So that's the five first Saturdays, and each of the five first Saturdays is in reparation for the one of the five key blasphemies against the Immaculate Heart.
Hmm.
So that's the first Saturday's devotion, and we encourage everybody to do that and to do Marian consecration,
Hmm.
which is very closely tied to that.
Yep.
The first Fridays, so they are 9 First Fridays. It's actually a little bit easier. So it's like, we can handle it, guys. So, because it's a daily mass on a Friday. So you
Hmm.
go to mass and you receive Holy Communion as a day of grace. Um, and like consecrating the day and those things to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So
Hmm.
do that for 9 First Fridays. of 9 months consecutively to complete the devotion. And on that one, on both of them, you might run in, for just people who have never done that, you might run into some spiritual attacks like about halfway through. The
Hmm.
sixth Friday, the seventh Friday, because at that point you're like 6 months in, you're like, you think you're good. The enemy will try to prevent you from completing that devotion. So
Hmm.
just push through. And if you fail, just try again. It's okay. Just start again. Just start
Yep.
on. But yeah, so those are the devotions. And
Hmm.
man, gotta do them. And for us to do what we do, absolutely required.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys have, because we benefit from your efforts and from your perseverance. So thank you, for that work. I know that this is, kind of, you might say, the new economy. And I know for many in Catholic spaces for a long time, there was a hesitancy to embrace kind of the digital world. And, but we have nothing to fear, because our Lord has conquered everything. And if we step into any space, including that digital one, and we bring our Lord with us and put him before us, then he can transform everything. And you guys are doing that, with Catholic Owned. So thank you for all of that work, that you're
Of
doing.
course.
But
Of course.
any final words or anything that you want to share, with folk? I can't believe that our time is already up.
Yeah, it goes quick, doesn't it?
It
Yeah, I
does.
just say that, Catholic owned is really a tool, right? The real value that we have is the real world network that we are building, and it already exists, right? Catholics are already talking to Catholics. We're just making it easier to find each other and then do refer that friend or whatever it is. So it's a beautiful sort of meeting of using technology for good, like you said, and facilitating the body of Christ moving together. So, we just final thoughts. We would invite everybody to go to CatholicOwned.com, download our app, find those businesses, do business with them, leave them reviews, um, and join us on the mission that we are on, which is building the new Catholic economy.
Uh, Absolutely wonderful, words definitely to live by. And for everyone who's listening today, I challenge you to do that, to do one small thing. Make that your concrete, daily resolution for today, is to go and download the app and then make use of it. And see what kind of difference you aren't able to make in our world, that desperately needs it. So thank you again, Brooke, for joining me, on the podcast, and I look forward to seeing, Catholic Owned continue to grow, and especially quickly, so that we all benefit from it. But for everyone out there, know of my continued prayers for each and every one of you, especially that you may be able to do whatever it takes, so that together we can tell the Master of Death, not today. God bless everybody.